right, we are back. Welcome to Bums Talk Bass, and the Bassmaster Classic just happened. We have a very special guest based on the Bassmaster Classic coming up in a few minutes. But first, let's just start with, what'd you guys think?
I loved it. I was happy to see Easton win and get my fantasy team back from the grave.
Let's not bring that up yet.
I don't want to talk about fantasy yet. But I saw like a shocking amount of complaining for what I thought was a really cool classic. Like,
what do you mean complaining?
There was a lot of
you haven't been on social media?
I've been so busy lately. I saw the footage and that was about it. Coverage I was watching.
You don't want to see the reviews.
Yeah, there was a lot of hate, and I got some hate too. I'll get into it, but it's got nothing to do with the tournament. The tournament was awesome. I mean, you saw old guys, young guys, you saw big, like, I don't know. This type of fishing is what I want in a classic. I want big fish, not a lot of bites.
Mm-hmm.
Every crack of the bat is a big deal. You know, like this is Bassmaster Classic fishing. Like, to me, like, that style of how this tournament was is exactly how I want it. Where it's like, it's a slugfest, but it's not. You know what I mean? Where, like,
it's a grinder for bites.
There's the drama, you know. If he didn't break away with that 8-pounder at the end there, you're looking, you know, McKinney's in it. McKinney was in it till the end. It wasn't a runaway. It was good fishing. It was fun to watch. It was entertaining. It was good bassing.
Yeah, I mean,
it was how a championship should be.
You got to see a little bit of everything. And listen, I get that they're like, I don't even want to address like the live scope hate anymore, because like the dude was throwing a worm into trees. How are we going to complain about live scope with that? He wasn't out in the middle of the lake shaking a minnow. Like, if you're fishing trees like that and not using live scope, you're just choosing to do it inefficiently. Like, yeah. I have no time for those kind of complaints anymore. But Zoo brought up real quick, you know, Trey being in it. You want to talk about Trey being in it, dude? That second day is going to haunt that kid for a long time, bro.
Mm-hmm. It got to him, the pressure.
I mean, he was right there, and he had 15 pounds on day 2, and he lost some big fish too throughout the whole tournament. He had a couple times that he lost some big fish. I mean, not to say it necessarily would have been enough to pull it out. I mean, Easton did win it by 8 pounds.
Yeah.
So
but he had the right fish.
Yeah.
Around, you know, he was on that winning pattern as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after day 1, I mean, I think I texted Andre and Andy at 12 p.m. on day 1 and said, "Congrats to your 25 Classic champion, Trey McKinney." Like,
I thought he was going to run away with it after the first day. I was like, dude, oh, it's in the bag.
Him on the first day compared to everybody else on camera was like it was a different lake, dude. He was just pulling up wherever he wanted. Dude,
doing whatever he wanted. He was in such control.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you know, a lot of times, like on the first day of a tournament, it's like you pick the wrong guys to give cameras to, you know, but like they had Lee on camera. Like, it wasn't just Trey in the top of the leaderboard. Like, they had guys at the top of the leaderboard on day 1 on camera, and it still looked like Trey was on a different lake. Like, it's not like they just happened to be with guys down in the 40s and 50s. Like, they were with other tournament leaders, and it was a night and day difference.
He was just cracking them. I mean, he had, 25 pounds by
26.
26 by, 9, 10 a.m., right? It was something stupid early he had.
Yeah, I know. He ran away with it so fast on that first day.
Yeah.
And he left him. He was just practicing at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, his scope turned off, and he was just like, it's fine.
It was kind of similar to Okeechobee. After that first day on Okeechobee, I was like, oh, Trey's going to run away with this one. And then it just kind of didn't happen on the second day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I didn't see that going away for him, especially considering that other leaders caught them in similar areas and on similar stuff. I don't know what happened on his day too, but like, I mean, another guy, Lee had one fish at 1:00 on day one.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he turned out to be one of the most consistent guys in the Classic, posting like 22, 23 pounds a day, 3 days in a row. But like, dude, it took a minute. And
Good with it.
Can we talk about it?
We can talk about it.
Can we talk about it?
We'll talk about it.
What do you think, Tackle Boy?
I have
He's
4
already
orders.
12 of them.
You're coming in so fast.
Of course.
What?
Oh, I already have 4 ordered. They'll be in by the end of the month.
Ryan Worths are already here.
Where'd he get them from? Actually, no, we're not going to say that because
he overnighted them on day one. He overnighted them on day one.
He was ready to throw them the other day.
He literally called me. He's like, these are going to be sold out everywhere. I'm buying them right now.
That's what I did. I did the same exact thing. It's like at the end of the day, there's a certain chatterbait color that we don't talk about, but in certain situations, it just makes sense. You know what I mean? We're gonna have a flag on the play, but it's no secret that Morning Dawn is a player any days. Everywhere you go, it is on everybody's deck in a finesse application.
My question is,
go ahead.
What does it look like under the water? You know how like light changes? Like Morning Dawn tends to look not Morning Dawn at a certain depth. Like what are they seeing actually?
Here's the main thing, and if you want to look at it from a science perspective, there's 2 things. One, bass don't see color. Bass have a different rod and cone structure than us. The only color bass really see is red. And red actually comes up, it doesn't register. It actually is like clear. It's like something that's missing, and maybe that registers in their brain a different way. But then so they see different, when we have colors, I believe they're seeing more different shades and dimensions is what, when we're throwing a color. It's just how it, it responds in the water and creates that silhouette.
And they get the reflection kind of like style
right,
too, like the light reflection.
So because it's not just a when you look at the bait, it's not just bubblegum fluke.
No.
It's like, oh, do I just go weapons free?
Yeah. I mean, everybody
knows.
knows.
A translucent.
Yeah.
Hank, it's like a spot remover. And Morning Dawn had a little love child, and I loved everything about this child.
But I mean, I think the biggest deal when you look at him hold the thing, you don't even see the skirt. Like, what we're really talking about is that massive fucking pink fluke trailer.
Oh, you're talking about the trailer that's he already did Worth order the trailer already from 6 Cents?
No. I'm talking about the chatterbait, but I'm saying I think that is more of the deal with that bait than the chatterbait itself. Like, I think if you slapped that big giant pink fluke on the back of a all white chatterbait, I think it's pretty much the same thing.
No, I couldn't agree more with that.
Because you could barely even see the skirt. I mean, it's a big, bulky, that's the bait,
Do you guys throw flukes on your chatterbaits a lot? I mean, I've done it a decent bit.
Nicholas does almost exclusively.
Yeah. It's what I used to do.
It makes it more erratic. It's not straight through.
I don't throw like a zoom fluke, but I throw I'm sure everybody does at this point. I throw a hog farmer a lot.
You throw a spunker?
Yeah. I throw, without getting too in depth on my chatterbait juice. I throw a spunk shad on like bait fish imitations, and I'll throw like I'll say a craw style bait on like green pumpkin, bluegill,
Right. For more of a
black
bluegill
blue
application. Yeah.
presentations. Yeah. But so I had a couple things about this pink
With
thing.
it.
Thinking about just fishing in general, right? I think a lot of times we overcomplicate things in terms of like,
For sure.
think about like every other fish in the world besides a bass. Like pink's a staple.
Yeah.
Pink's a staple for little crappie jigs. Pink's a staple for fluke fishing. Pink's a staple for striped bass. Like
pink's a staple for
everybody,
smallmouth fishing. This chatterbait is going to be a smallmouth machine.
everybody throws like straight bubblegum pink, ridiculous, stupid baits, and every fish in the world loves them. And we as bass fishermen just pretend that it's got to be like perfect, natural, match the hatch type of deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, fish just like eating pink shit.
That was like the big thing
TV
back
for
in the
a lot of
day
stuff.
was just a pink floating worm working across the surface. I mean, that you know, it's kind of gone
Yeah.
away, but I'm sure.
Not pink. Actually, I'm front and center right here. But that's another one. It's just levitating. That's a whole other ball game.
I mean, that morning dawn worm has been in my rotation since the infancy of my bass fishing days. But like, so here's my this is a philosophy I've had for a while now. So you know how they say there's like two types of strikes. There's reaction strikes, and then there's they're trying to eat it strikes.
Right.
I actually think there's three types of strikes.
They're pissed off.
In my opinion. I think it's reaction strike, which yes, pissed off is a thing. I would kind of lump that into reaction, maybe. I don't know, or you could call it four. That's not what I'm talking about. There's reaction, there's I want to eat it, and then there's what the fuck is that?
No, there was the famous
quote.
The what the fuck is that bite is a bite.
There's the bass don't have hands bite, and I'll say
it's like sharks.
That's
sharks
exactly
nibble
what
humans
out of my
to
mouth
try out.
To explain it is
bass don't have hands. Curiosity, feel or bite.
Yeah. It's
what
the fuck is that bite?
That's exactly what this bite is, in my opinion. But
I don't think so.
Really,
I don't.
I can see
you think that's I want to eat it bite.
Remember, we loosely discussed dice theory last podcast.
Yeah,
that was a few podcasts ago.
Link in bio.
I got a couple theories. Theories, and
give me one.
I don't think it's a. It definitely probably at times is a what the fuck is that bite, but I think there's situations where I learned this. I almost don't even want to say this, but I'm gonna whatever. I started a podcast. It's my fault.
Right.
I learned something a very long time ago when I was fishing when I was fishing at our pond up on the cabin in Pennsylvania that I go to with my family friends.
Right.
We don't think about it as much as we think about other terms of forage, but an extremely large portion of a lot of bass's diets is insects.
Yeah. A lot of bugs.
Oh boy.
And nobody talks about it. We want to talk about craws, we want to talk about bluegills, we want to talk about alewives and shad and this and that. Any body of water where you have shallow grass fish, They're eating a lot of bugs, bro.
So this is a whole other world that you just opened up. There goes the classic. But so I have a couple friends that live over in Taiwan. And here's the thing about bass fishing in Taiwan. There is no bluegill in Taiwan. The largemouth bass that got over there were just bored Americans, and they somehow survived. And you know what made those bass survive? And you know what their primary forage is over there? It's all insects. And that dives into that whole other JDM bug world, is all insect based, because that over there, 90% of the time, is the main forage. I mean, gosh, if you want to talk about insects being a main forage, I mean, we're mainly a largemouth. We're bum stock bass, but 90% of the time we are a largemouth podcast.
Yeah.
Do you know how many smallmouth on the river systems up by me strictly eat bugs, and how dependent the bug hatch is? I mean, a while back, you remember what, gosh, I mean, I don't know if it was a big deal. Nolan Miner won a very major kayak event on the Susquehanna River, throwing a forage bait made up in frickin' it's evergreen. It's called a gizmo. It's a little, like, cicada style bait. They eat the heck out of them, and they're just dial into those profiles. It's a whole other profile that doesn't get tapped into. It's a natural profile, because there was a lot of protein in a bug.
What we used to do when we were kids up at the cabin, when I wasn't a bass fisherman, I got an ugly stick, we catch whatever, we would catch all sorts of bait. So we would get like little bluegills and put them on the hook. We would catch shiners, put them on the hook, crawfish, whatever. One of, if not the best way to catch the bass back in the day is we used to take the like seining boxes. You know what I'm talking about? It's like what you would like seine gold with almost.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a wooden box and it's got a mesh grate in the middle.
Yeah, freaking.
And we would dig it through the pads and the weeds.
Get
and
the
we would
like
scoop up what we used to call bass bugs. But what they actually are now, I know as an adult, it's dragonfly larvae. Their bugs are like this big.
Yep.
And they're little green aquatic bugs, and they're all over the grass. Like we would literally just take this box and just scoop it through like the milfoil, and you'd pull it up and you'd have 20 of them.
Yeah.
And we'd stick them in a bucket. We called them bass bugs, and you put that on a hook, throw it out, and you're catching them.
And now look at us stupid idiots throwing.
So I really like this is the type of stuff where I wish I wasn't on a podcast, because this is stuff I don't think I've ever said out loud to anybody. But
well, to our 30 loyal fans, you're welcome.
That's real stuff, dude.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't necessarily think, fuzzy dice is a 1-to-1 dragonfly larvae
but it's got
imitation. But I think it's a insect style presentation that potentially can be used in those applications.
It's got your legs, it's got the real lightweight body, it's got the small profile. It's lining up with it.
I think it's similar. I think it's similar to like how a Senko doesn't look exactly like anything, but it can be everything in a certain category of like shallow bait fish, a bluegill, a crawfish, something. I think the fuzzy dice is that for the insect category.
Well, it's that curiosity aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, even like a trick worm. I don't understand like why we always model everything off of, I hate to say it, a worm, because maybe it like kinders to that early instinct of a fisherman that we all grew up fishing with worms.
Slap a worm.
And we think it's just another thing of a worm, but we're not balling up trick worms on a circle hook and casting it out there and popping it.
I think that's
And
probably how
just,
the worm started, like with the
in a
OG
way,
cream worm that looks
Yeah.
like
OG,
a
I can
worm.
see the OG cream worm working that way, yes.
But no, I'm not saying
But
balling it up.
modern
I'm
worm
not saying
theory
balling it
would
up on a hook and throwing it out there. I'm saying the thought behind
No, yes,
I'm
no,
a
I know.
tackle company, I'm going to make a plastic worm
Big worm.
started from that. But I
Right.
think when people realized how well they catch fish, it turned into like, we know it's not a worm.
Right.
Well, the cream worm was a worm, but I feel like it
Yes,
involved.
but I'm
If people
saying
started
now-
realizing, now it's
Everybody knows a methylate trick worm is not a earthworm.
yeah,
That's not what we're trying to imitate here.
yeah. I would say it's an interesting concept. Do we start throwing some dragonfly top waters coming up this year? You know, it seems like I got.
Start.
Well, I have another bug. I have another bug theory. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is just like hair jig theory in a way. I mean, what the fuck's a hair jig? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of times that
A hair
you'd
jig
say,
could be
oh,
87 different things.
hair, exactly.
A hair jig
But
is
don't-
what the fish wants it to be.
Just like a Senko.
Exactly.
And same thing.
Well, no,
it's like, what's that falling out of the sky? I'm gonna go find out.
Always that the small bugs cause the small bait to fuck around at the surface.
Yeah.
And the bass are going for the bait feeding on the bugs. But maybe now when you're in an environment where there is large bug forage, they're just getting the best of both. And, you know, there's a dead bug on the surface. There's a dead large thing on the surface, a quick, easy meal that they don't have to kill. There's no, you know, attack. There's no violent strike. There's just a...
Well,
So, yeah.
it's an ecosystem nobody thinks, talks about, or dives into, but like there is a large category of animals that exist in all of our ponds, lakes, and rivers that are substantially large aquatic insects. Like they're all over the place, and people just pretend that they don't exist. Like
No.
Any kind of things. Like think about like the salamanders, lizards that people throw all the time, and now it's not really like a lore that's talked about, but that used to be really big. Even on the Potomac, dude, I remember my co-angler pulled like a 14-inch Gartner snake out of his one fish.
Oh, I thought you were about to say that he pulled a 14-inch Gartner snake out of his box and threw it in the water and
No.
I mean, I caught when I was younger, one of the biggest bass of my life when I was in high school, I caught on a Zoom power lizard.
Yeah.
Or not a Zoom power, a Berkeley power lizard. Zoom lizard, same thing.
power lizard.
One of them. I don't even know which one it was. It could have been a Zoom lizard or it could have been a power lizard. But
a lizard nonetheless.
And that's one of those things too, is like if I'm throwing a Texas rigged lizard, a bass in New Jersey is not looking at that and going, "Oh, a lizard."
Yeah.
They
don't know what a lizard is. They don't exist here.
You got the amphibians.
You have newts and salamanders.
Yeah. So much so in the Raritan River watershed.
More than you think.
They know what I know, but they don't, dude. Stop.
It's not like it's a hatch where you're seeing thousands.
Well, here's the thing, you know. Well, here's the big thing. When does the book, blackjack rules here? When does the book say to throw a lizard? Around the spawn. Why does it say around the spawn? Because they say they're eating the eggs.
It's a pest, an invader.
An invader. Right. And that's the time you really see the lizard, brush hog type shit really, come into play.
Or, when you throw it on a Carolina rig in the middle of the summer, 25 feet deep.
That's the other
ever be
used. That's the part that throws me off, because Why am I throwing a brush hog on a TVA ledge? Why am I throwing a brush hog in 30 feet of water? The lizards don't go there.
I mean, by far, without question, not even close, an OG 6-inch Zoom lizard is my number one Carolina rig bait.
Right. For good reason. Because it works.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know
they
why.
eat it.
But then that's just the
because
inquisitive nature of the bass and in the shape, or
it's
just...
what a bass wants it to be.
Exactly.
That's the point I'm trying to, is like, there are so many presentations that, like, it's a choose your own adventure. Like, the bass gets to decide itself what it wants that lizard to be. That lizard could be a crawfish scooting along the bottom. That lizard can be a oddly long and skinny bluegill. It could be a very large bug.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's whatever it wants, whatever it can kind of closely resemble. It's just...
yeah. I mean, bass are very well known for shoving whatever comes in front of them in their mouth.
Mhm.
They're like the bullfrogs of fish.
Yep.
If he wants to bite it,
he's good.
You just kind of got to get close.
Yeah. But, well,
it's when he doesn't want to bite it.
That's a whole other thing too. Like,
it's when he doesn't want to bite it. That's the tough part.
Yeah.
What's this? What's this supposed to be?
A tube?
What's it supposed to be? You know?
I feel like a tube looks more like something than a...
Yeah. No, a tube, I can very easily see a tube being a bluegill or a crawfish. It's another choose your own adventure, but I think it's a pretty good one.
Oh, it's a great one. It's an awesome one. I will be throwing one this weekend. But it's like, if you put a bluegill and a crayfish on the screen and you said, this is what looks like both of them at the same time.
I mean, it kind of does.
I mean, maybe if I go off my meds for a week, I'll be able to say that. But like, as of now, no,
If you poke a bluegill, if you see a video of a bluegill, like just poking at the ground, eating, like poking at some stuff on the bottom. I mean, think about... Yeah.
If you're a bass who's got, and you're underwater, your vision's a little blurry, you're hiding behind a rock, and a green pumpkin tube goes whop whop right in front of your face,
you're eating it.
It's what it wants it to be.
But that comes back to the reaction.
It's whatever it wants it to be.
Yeah. That's the thing. You just got to get close, put it in front of their face.
It's a little more than just reaction there. I think it's a little more. Like, it's the right color. It's kind of the right shape. It went past me. Like I don't think you're necessarily getting a tube reaction strike if it's, something completely not in the realm of possibility. You know what I mean? It's like that split-second decision of like, oh,
food's going by.
Close enough. Like I think it's like you're building factors. You know what I mean? Because that bite decision happens really quick. So you're building as many factors to be in your favor as possible, like profile factor, color factor, action factor. You know what I mean? Like
it's like a chatterbait. I mean, a chatterbait, it has the right profile. It might have a tail that's kicking, but like in reality, if you're holding that next to a bluegill, it's not really looking like a big bluegill.
No bluegill is that loud.
Yeah. You're looking like it looks similar to the profile. It's going by them fast.
No bluegill is that loud. It doesn't even really make sense. But anyway, yeah, so that's somehow our classic. Let's cut to our interview now.
We got some waiting in the queue.
Let's cut to our interview now, and we will come back and maybe talk a little bit more about the actual Bassmaster Classic.
Well, we're at the Sweet 16 here, but now let's introduce the first ever Bumps Talk Bass Final Four. And with that, we have Anthony Riello sitting next to me. Boo, boo, March
That
Madness,
was
basketball.
bad, dude.
Boo, it was bad. I'll take the
That
good.
stunk.
Boo, that stinks. Whatever. Don't care because we have our first guest. Well, not our first guest, but our first Bums Talk Bass four-way, if we will.
There you go.
And we'll rock with it. It's going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. But we got Anthony Riello here, a fellow Penn State alumni, a good, cherished friend of mine that is a very knowledgeable person on the sport of bass fishing, and especially knowledgeable this week because he had a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So Tony over here, I mean, he's going to go off and tell us about himself for a second here, but Tony here he does media for Strike King. And someone who works with Strike King did a really cool thing this week. So Tony, if you want to take off from there.
Yeah, so I'm Anthony. I'm from Jersey, and Zub said that I just graduated from Penn State and moved down to South Carolina. I do video for Losing Strike King, and we do a series. If any of you have seen Kings of Bass on YouTube, we follow pros that we sponsor throughout the Elite Series season and some of the Opens. It varies, but this year we're following Dakota Eber and Easton Fothergill, and I was at the first two events, being St. John's River and then Okeechobee, and neither of them did too hot. They didn't make the cut, but I just got home today from the Bassmaster Classic, and we were following Easton. He fished. This is his second Classic now, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen that. He made it happen. And we were filming the entire thing from start to finish. The last day of practice, media day, and then obviously the tournament days. So we were there through it all. We, got him getting ready in the morning, talked to his parents, his family, and just we're there throughout the entire process. And I was just talking to my coworkers about it, and it's unbelievable because I don't think that there was ever a Classic win like documented from start to finish. So this is going to be something really incredible. And we got some insane footage across the board, from emotional stuff to fish catches, like just incredible stuff. I mean, Easton's such a great guy. He's new. This is his first year in the Elite Series, and he's such a humble kid. Like, if you got to meet him, I'm sure you could tell off rip, but such a great dude, and no one else deserves it more than he does. So
yeah, I mean, his timeline is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, the past 2 years of this kid's life might be one of the most insane 2-year runs in bass fishing history.
I mean, classic win. Opens. What was he the AOY for the Opens, right? Yeah.
Two Opens wins.
Yeah, two Opens wins.
One on his home pond, one on one of the toughest Opens in Bassmaster, recent memory. That Eufaula Oklahoma tournament was absolutely brutal, and he put a clinic on there. But just like being able to follow that around, and Tony, you were telling me, and you were just told us, this is really the first Classic that you were a part of, that you were able to document from start to finish. And you guys put out awesome content. So I'm so stoked to see what you do. And you just also put out awesome stuff in general. And Al's going to have your social down tag there. You guys, if you guys want to see some awesome videography work, give this kid a follow. He looks really good out there. But that's, we'll butter him up a little more at the end there. But gosh, Tony, what was like one of your big takeaways from the Classic this week? Give me a quick big takeaway.
Dude, honestly,
this was your first one, right? Really quick. It was your first Classic.
But it's unbelievable. First of all, to even be there, I never thought that I would be at such a big event, let alone covering it. And I've been with Rather Outdoors for 6 months, and the people I've met already, having the ability to just go up to these pros and just strike up a conversation is incredible. And people I've just idolized and grew up watching on YouTube and seeing clips of on social media now are just I don't want to say regular people, but I could just have the ability to just go up and talk to them. So it's honestly just crazy. And I'm very thankful to be in this position. And
So
I enjoy what I do.
so with that said, I mean, I want to dive into a whole bunch of different things, but going off of the focus of this week and the Classic and Easton's win, right? So you obviously, you know, I'm assuming watched him fish 8 hours a day, 3 days in a row.
Yeah, for the most part, we would kind of obviously wake up before him, get to his Airbnb, and film him getting ready, and then going out on the water. And the Classic was different because, normally regular tournaments, there's no restrictions. We'll have, a third-party camera boat, so we can be out there for as long as we want. But the Classic, their media team or media management was being very strict. You needed to have a pass to go anywhere. And then on top of that, during tournament days, if you wanted to cover an angler, you had to do it through them. So you booked a camera boat slot. So we had 8 to 10, and 6 Cents was after us from 10 to 12, and they canceled for the first 2 days. So we were able to get him from 8 to 12:30 or whatever, from launch to 12:30. But the last tournament day, there was no one else after us, and we stayed the whole time. I told my coworker, I'm like, listen, he's got whatever it was, 3 or 4 fish in the box. It was coming down to the wire. I'm sure you guys are watching that live, and it was coming down to the wire. And I told my coworker, I was like, listen, dude, I don't know how many batteries you got left, but we're staying. We're watching this because something this is pinnacle. This is why we came here to cover this. It's make or break at this point. It's going to be make or break. He's going to catch a big one or not. And we needed to be there to capture that moment.
That camera boat time slot thing is interesting because I guess that must be a new thing. I did a Classic back in 2020 with Greg DePalma, and we just I just got a buddy to do it. And I had to get the passes and get approved by Bass and all that stuff, but boat wise, we just followed him around and did whatever we wanted, really.
Yeah, I think that's definitely allowed. I'm not really sure why that was. That's just what I was told and what we kind of went through. But I don't see any reason as to why you couldn't get an outside source camera boat. And I'm not really sure why we didn't go that route. But
I'm
Were there
sure
other people, I'm assuming, following, a bunch of other people surrounding you?
Yeah. So Zub, I don't know if I send you that picture.
Oh, you sent it, yeah.
There was, I'm sure you guys saw on live. I don't know if they really showed it, but at one point there was.
I can put it in here too.
Yeah, there was a ton of boats. It was Lee Livesey and Easton fishing right in the same area. I think
I saw that
fishing around them too, and it was just incredible. And I don't know how. This is a quick sidebar, but I don't know how these guys do it. Easton was fishing timber, and it's not like he was beating the bank. It's not like he was going around this timber, and targeting fish close to the trees. And these people were just spread throughout all of this timber, and he's literally weaving through and telling people to move. And it's how do you stay focused and not overthink it that these fish are getting spooked and whatever?
I think about that all the time, especially watching, I was literally thinking about what you just said. I'm seeing guys fish, and further up in the trees, there's guys sitting against some trees on the outside edge. And I'm like, what if that guy wants to fish those?
Fish there.
There's no way that doesn't have an effect.
Yeah. Yeah. You're talking however many boats. It was easily over 20 boats at one point, all around him. And he was kind of going around, and he would have to tell people to get out of the way. And I couldn't understand it. I would be spinning out, honestly.
Yeah, and it worked out, obviously. So it doesn't really matter in the end. But I would imagine a good part, that probably had a lot to do with his tough morning. I have to think he would have caught more fish if he was by himself.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. It honestly limited his space. He was, I want to say it was the third day. That's when he had the biggest crowd, but there was like they were just surrounding him. Like he stayed in like this one little stretch and was kind of just going back and forth. And it was, I don't know how he did it.
He needed that Christie Jason Christie's friends where they blocked off a whole cove for him.
Yeah, we
He
were
needs
talking
some of
about
that.
this on the last episode. One
Yeah.
of the last classic I went down was when Christie went over on Hartwell. And when he was on the lead on either day 2 or day 3, he was fishing a cove. And Christie had 3 of his buddies block off the whole cove. Just say, don't come back here, you know?
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I feel like there should be like almost some sort of ruling. Like, I mean, I don't know all the technicalities and the rules, but I feel like there should be like a mandate that you have to stay back a certain amount if you're spectating. Like, I really
At the end of the day, people should just have etiquette.
yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about it, and I was like, dude, if I was Easton here, like, I probably in the morning would be like, hey, like, I know this sucks, but can everybody leave? Like, I would probably be like, listen, can you please, like, just not follow me?
And like if you talk to Easton and you get to know him, like he's a very like quiet kid. He's humble. He's conserved. He doesn't really speak out about that, and he does when he has to. Like he definitely did at some points. But for example, I was telling Zub about this a little bit. Scott Martin was fishing the same area that Easton was, and we were power pulled down. And we're filming Easton. Easton was also power pulled down. And we were filming him work this fish. He was just casting at like 3 trees that were in front of him. And we were there for probably 15 minutes. He was working them incredibly slow. And Scott Martin rolls up, and there was like 2 spectator boats behind us. But, he was pissed off. He was frustrated. He came up to us. He was like, who are y'all with? Like, this is the classic. Like, you guys are way too close. Give us a break here. Like he was frustrated, and I can't really blame him. Were we at fault for it? I don't think so. I think we were like plenty far away enough. And
I mean, also if you guys were already there, like
no, we were posted up for a bit, and he kind of rolled up on us and then yelled at us. So I mean, I'm not gonna fault him for it. I know how it could be, and I would feel similarly. I would be frustrated in that same situation, but it's the way it goes.
So one thing I was thinking, I mean, as you're a fisherman and a tournament fisherman yourself, from watching him for as much as you have, are there any things that you can point to that you feel like he does differently, or like what makes him as good as he is? Like, is there anything you've noticed?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this kind of goes without saying, and I know a lot of anglers are like this, so I can't say it's like anything extraordinary, but he's very meticulous with all of his tackle, like ridiculously meticulous. One of the nights, I think media day, or the night before media day, he rigged up all of his rods, tied all his leader knots, and then the next day he redid all of them because he just didn't feel like they were. Like too much time went by where he thought like something might have changed. Whatever. He wanted that confidence, so he re-rigged all of his rods, which is, I'm not going to say uncommon. I know a lot of people who are like that. Zoop, but the night before a tournament, Zoop would just go crazy and re-rig his entire boat.
Up till 3 a.m.
No, Easton. An underlying theme that we picked up was kind of decision making. We talked to his dad a lot, and it was unbelievable what his dad said. Like his dad was fishing tournaments when he was younger, and he brought Easton into it, and his dad kind of taught him that decision making and knowing when to make those decisions. He used to set a timer on his phone, and if he wasn't seeing what he wanted to see, he would be forced. That timer would run out, and he would be forced to make that next decision. And so I think, I was talking about this with him, and he said just having that gut feeling and being able to like actually act on it, because a lot of other people won't be able to really act on it. They'll take in all of the different variables and not really just go with their gut feeling. So I think his decision making is very, very efficient and effective. Like he's got that down.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely, at least from what I've gathered, it seems like probably the most important part of like being a successful tournament angler is like that push and pull between change and or don't.
Right.
Sticking it out versus
Like-
moving to something.
Like how well they're able to determine like, all right, we got to pull the plug before it's too late.
Right.
And with that said, I know like what is his like intensity and like speed? Like I know you said that he was fishing like 3 trees for like a long time, but is he a spot mover? Like, is he cooking?
No, I mean, he knew like during practice, he knew he had key areas with big fish. Like he had those big fish areas. So it was more so running around and checking all these different trees. He would see a fish on it and, he would throw his Nico rig at the fish and they would refuse it. They would refuse it. And he just kept like peppering them. And like, I was talking to him about that on the ride to the arena, like what he was doing differently than all these other anglers. Like, what was he specifically doing on live scope to really get them to commit and actually eat it? Because he was throwing at the same fish 10 plus casts and just kept going. So like on that 11th cast, what did he do differently? And he told me at one point, I don't know if this stuck true for every single fish he caught, but it worked for a few on one of the days was, he would sink his Nico rig down to the fish and just snap it, hard. And that's when they would react and come eat it. But, that would be after 10 casts of trying, different ways of working it.
Well, I mean, that's really the advantage of when a fish is there is like, you might be, if you're just like blind pattern fishing, you get a bite doing some kind of retrieve and it's like, okay, that's the retrieve we're doing for the rest of the day. But when you're fishing for individual big fish, like you can try 10 different techniques and figure out which one that fish actually wants.
Yeah.
Which I believe it was him. It might have been Trey. I think it was Easton though on live. I remember hearing this comment early in the morning when he was like going through the trees. He was like, "Oh yeah, I saw a big one on that tree back there and he wouldn't bite, but we're going to spin around in a little while and go back to him and catch him." And it's like that thought process of like, I don't know. I just thought that was such a crazy quote to me, like being so sure that like, well, the fish is still going to be there. Like he's going to be on that tree when I go back and then I'll just catch him later. Like whatever. You know what I mean? Like
as
for
if it's
me,
like a bed fish.
Right.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. Like think of it like a bedfish, right? Like if I got a 7-pounder on a bed, right, and I'm staring at it, I'm not leaving it until it eats it. Like, the thought process to just be like, all right, we'll catch him later, like whatever, like take
not just the thought process, but like the confidence and just like the sureness of your ability. And that's one thing that, a lot of people hate on Trey. You have to give Trey credit and you have to give Easton credit on this too. It's like, this is voting back on what Tony said earlier. Anybody could really fish. You know what I mean? The fishing part of bass fishing is the easiest part that pretty much everybody could do. It is the confidence and the decisions that you make that really separate you and your attention to detail and everything in the thought process, the entire mental chess game that is the sport is what really, crowns the champ at the end of the day. And it's just astonishing with how young Easton is. I mean, it's like he's going against people that have been playing this chess game longer than he's been alive. He's kicking his tail.
Understanding to know that
because they all have, you could sit and make the live scope debate, who's better with scope, they have the same tech. If anything, the guys have been using the tech for just as long, if not longer than him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he is making the decisions and the key adjustments at such a rate. Like, I don't know if when he had, God bless him, he had that brain surgery, but I don't know if when he had that brain surgery that Garmin put a chip in him or something. But I don't know, man. I swear, man, the kid's different. He's good for the sport. I'm excited to see him in the next few years.
There's no excuses for the live scope thing, because if you really want to break it down, Jason Christie is the first person in the world who had it. So why is he not the best at it? You know,
Right.
Yep.
Like, some people are better at certain things. Some guys are better at throwing the chatterbait than others. Some guys are better at fishing ledges than others. Some guys are better at live scope than others. And that's just what it is. But I thought it was really interesting seeing that 1-2 finish at the end out of Easton and Trey, because I feel like that's going to be a 15-year back and forth.
This is going to be like David and Goliath going at it for the next 15, 20 years.
Like,
you know, like Trey walking off second place, that's like Jalen Hurts watching the confetti fall. You know what I mean? It's up here.
The battle between those two is going to be a decade plus long of the back and forth between them.
It's just crazy to see the younger guys just absolutely dominating so much. I mean, just consistently now.
But
they care, they have that attention to detail.
But to be fair, with that said, the first two tournaments were run by Bill Lowen and Brandon Polinick. So
yeah, I feel like Polinick's still young.
Yeah, he is. But honestly, in the grand scheme of like these, kids,
he is kind of
not.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think the live scope kids dominating the sport is a little blown out of proportion. Like, they're good because they're good, but like when it's a tournament that's going to be dominated old school with a big sloppy jig, like Bill Lowen's still going to be Bill Lowen, you know?
Yeah.
But
I'm just going to say this really quick, and maybe Al, you can say it with me. I just want to foremost apologize for my fantasy pick. I want to foremost apologize for being a doubter, for not trusting the process.
We probably already went through the abysmalness that was our fantasy picks in the intro, so
yeah,
I'm gonna not go into it now.
I just want to make a formal apology.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, you guys suck.
Yeah, enough.
No, just for the rest, I understand. For doubting Easton is what I apologize for.
Yeah,
because Al and I both did.
But anyway, Anthony, what have you? I know you mentioned Dakota. Have you filmed with any other pro anglers besides Easton? And what has your experience been with some other guys?
Yeah, so I covered the first MPFL event on Santee with Hackney, and that was was just
wow.
And yeah, that was an unbelievable experience. I mean, that was the first tournament that I've covered and had someone do well in it. Like, and I just got that feeling, like it was just incredible to capture it, but just to witness it. And like, obviously being a fisherman myself, I get like fired up watching someone crack 20 plus pounds. Like that was an unbelievable experience. And honestly, very interesting too, because, you know, you're looking at two sides of the spectrum, the MPFL being without live scope, and then, you know, having an event like the Classic where it's heavily, you know, Easton was scoping the entire time. So it's definitely interesting to see the two different dynamics of tournaments.
And they still crushed them without live scope in the NPFL.
Right.
So, you know, so this is very interesting. I want to dive into that a little bit, because Greg Hackney, I think to most people, is still like a super mysterious, like, what is going on guy. like what is he like? Is he as like grumpy as people think, or is he more like how he is with Zona and like?
No, he's a great guy. He's a genuine guy. I mean, there's definitely times when like, I guess he can be grumpy, you know, but when he was getting off the water and he was cracking them good, like he was just in a phenomenal mood, as anyone would be. But, you know, off the water too, he's a very genuine guy, and it was just an honor and a pleasure to cover it. You know, he's a great dude.
What's it like
Yeah, I
for you
mean,
guys filming after hours with them? Like, what are you guys doing? Just watching them, or are you guys hanging out?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting dynamic in itself, and one that you can have a whole other entire podcast about. Like trying to balance the relationship and like build a relationship off camera. That way they feel comfortable on camera.
Yeah,
That's something that like I'm still trying to figure out being new to this. Because not everyone's like comfortable in front of the camera. Like we were covering Easton's family and in their Airbnb in like early hours, it's you don't want to put a camera where it shouldn't be, and you
Yeah.
want to make them feel comfortable. So it's tough, but it's very cool to experience it. You get to get a lot closer with them and build that like friendship, and see a lot deeper into it and just be behind the scenes, which is sweet.
that's cool.
I mean, like you touched on it before, but like just thinking about the whole thing, big picture, especially now that you mentioned the Hackney thing, like it must be unbelievable, like how quick so much has happened with you. Cause like your first tournament ever is with Greg Hackney, like top 10 all-time legend, like
Yeah.
one of the last of the big guns of the golden era that's still doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go from that to, like you said, probably the first ever front to finish documented classic win. Like, how insane is that for you in like the first few months of doing it to like you're probably about to release some of the craziest content in bass fishing history.
Yeah. It's honestly unbelievable. I'm so thankful to be in this position. I love what I do, and it's hard because it's not like I've been in this industry for as long as some other guys, and they have never even experienced something like this. So, I'm incredibly grateful for that and to be able to experience that. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
When can we expect the videos getting dropped?
So this classic will be posted hopefully within a week. We're trying to
Wow.
turn and burn on it. Like our
All
boss.
right.
I say, dude just
halted.
got home today.
Yeah. Well, I'm not editing it. We have a full-time editor that's gonna
So I was just
start
going to ask.
chopping it up. But
Okay.
there's a lot of footage.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just incredible. Like I never thought that I was going to be in this position. And it's something that I would thought, I would get here eventually, going through other jobs, but never like right out of college. And it was such a big jump too, because they wanted me to move down to South Carolina right after class, like right when I finished with classes. So it was scary, but I knew that like it's something that I wanted and that I thought I would enjoy. And yeah,
Is this your full-time job right now?
yeah.
So what are you doing when you're not filming with them? What's like your day tomorrow look like?
Well, tomorrow I'm probably gonna go out fishing. after a big tournament and like after we're working hard. Like how it is tournament. Like it's we're practically tournament fishing with the camera. Like we're out there with them. We're there, and that's what a lot of people don't see is we're there before they wake up and we're there after they leave. We're getting that shot of them driving away. So it's like, we do bust our ass to really get the shot and get what we need to. So, we do get, a break after a tournament. And yeah, I mean, I haven't had a chance to really get out much on Lake Murray here, but I'm starting to do that. I honestly, the last month, I mean, it's been the first two Elite Series events, the MPFL, and then the Classic. Like, I've not been home. I think I was home for like one weekend the past month. So I've been on the road a lot.
That's awesome, though.
Well,
that sounds like a blast.
That's what I was going to ask of you, because as myself, also a bass fisherman like you, I was a film major in college. And unlike you, I tried it and never like continued with the film career I thought I was gonna have because I couldn't take it. Like I couldn't be the one not fishing.
Yeah.
And like how is it for you? Like is it driving you crazy? Like
I wouldn't say
filming
it's
and not fishing?
yes, at some parts, yes, but I wouldn't say driving me like too insane. Like, you know, I definitely have my time off and my time to go fish. So that's, you know, still important. And obviously, at first, you know, the first shot or the first show that I shot with this company was with Mark Zona. And like that alone was just like,
Damn.
I'm like honestly speechless. Like I've talked to my coworkers, and this was a pro team journal that we shot, and we're not shooting those anymore. But this is one of the last ones, and you know, it's just a regular show of taking a, you know, a pro takes us out and puts on a show of catching fish. I'm sure you've seen them, but this is one of the last ones. We were with Zona, and he caught 20 fish on a topwater frog, staying in the exact same spot up in Minnesota. And it was like we were done. We started at like 7:30, and we were done by 8:30. The show was completely shot, and that was just like that was incredible in itself. That was a little side tangent, but
Zona's my goat.
He's such a great dude.
That's so unbelievable. Like I'm like to a almost uncomfortable level obsessed with Mark Zona.
Yeah, you didn't even pick him.
He's just the best of every world because he's entertaining, he's the content, and he's also like, you know, he never really did it, but you know he could hang with these guys. Like 100%, dude.
Yeah.
You see on those Zona lives, dude, he'd be beating the brakes off of pros in his boat.
He'd be beating the brakes off KBD half the time.
He did in that one, dude. He smoked him. God, that's got to be so cool.
So, what are your next shoots coming up? Anything fun or anything off? Or anything you could say?
No, not really. I have a decent break where I'm not really traveling much for the next like month or so. I honestly have to check my schedule and see what I'm on next. I think we're adding another person to cover the Elite Series events, so I'll probably tag along for a few more of those, but I'd have to check the schedule. I mean, we do a lot of like product shoots where, you know, we'll go out to a local lake and get underwater stuff or just like hype like lifestyle videos to showcase new baits and whatnot. Speaking of which, have you guys seen the Strike King like dice bait?
Yeah,
I've seen it.
Yeah.
What's the take on it? What's the opinion?
Is this going to get you in trouble?
Yeah, let's not talk about this. I don't want to risk this.
Well,
Striking jerkbait Easton was throwing all week.
No, look. We're not going to say the aspect that Zub is worried about getting in trouble. I'll talk. I do want to talk about dice as a concept though for a second while we're on it because they work.
Yeah,
like
the striking bait's going to work.
The dice baits absolutely work, and I'm assuming you're asking this because you did product video on it. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I did shoot some video on it. But I was looking at the comments and a lot of people are hating on it, which I can understand that aspect. But you know, at the end of the day, it's a selling product. It's a hot product. Like people are. I'm sure it's still going to do well.
I don't know.
I mean, someone's going to buy it.
In my opinion, it is what it is with that. But like, you can't get mad at that without having a full what's the word I'm looking for?
Rebuttal. I mean, I don't know. It's like
without
everybody's
having a full protest of the entire Berkeley
industry,
right?
Well, not even just Berkeley in general. I mean, gosh, everybody's gonna make a jerk bait. Everybody's gonna make a craw. Well, now everybody's gonna make a dice bait. That's just how it works. You know what I mean? It's just it's a profile.
It's also not like it's the second dice bait.
No, it's not a
You know what I
perfect,
mean? Like,
No.
dice.
like
It's
12
its own
companies
thing.
already make them. It's not
Yeah.
like it's one. It's not like it's a 1-for-1 copy of one bait. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
It's
like
its
the
own
cat's out of the
variation.
bag with that. That's like getting mad at somebody for coming out with a new chatterbait. Like everybody's
Right.
got one.
Or a
Yeah.
new Senko.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know if anything. I mean, we had the conversation about Berkeley a couple podcasts ago, and it's like, listen, like, yeah, you could say they rip this or they rip that, but look, here's the truth of it. I live in New Jersey, and it is hard for me to get my hands on fuzzy dice, and if I do, I have to pay $20 for 4 of them.
Right.
Yeah.
So
No, I mean, I don't even want to like. This cost me like my own little fortune. This
yeah, if you're a small bait and tackle company owner, I can see maybe your gripe with certain things, but as a consumer, it's like I'm spending my money on this. If I have
That's all.
more accessible, cheaper ways to get the same thing, that's a win for me. I don't know why you as the consumer are complaining about that.
Right.
Let's also
Yeah.
remember, we're not OSP isn't a mom and pop tackle company. I
No.
love OSP. I think they make phenomenal products. I use their products all the time. I will always vouch for them.
Dude, you pay.
But they're not a mom and pop
Japanese
tackle company, and they are not hurting from another bait entering the game. Maybe they are. I'm not an economist, but I think that making things more affordable is good for fishing.
But I also think like I wonder what the logistics are like, because I understand like maybe it might be hard, but like if Japanese companies are concerned with the American market, then like break into the American market and sell your stuff in America. Like the stuff is impossible to get. Like if you want those consumers, get the product over here.
That's the whole thing. OSP until much recently, the only retailer they had in North America was the Hookup Tackle. That was the only spot you could buy any OSP products until this year.
And it's not just OSP. I don't want to single out OSP in the
No, I don't want to single them out, but that's just an example. You know what I mean?
All the Japanese companies, like, it's so hard to get their stuff. If they want American companies to not style their baits that way, then sell them to American consumers. Like, we can't get them. We can't get them. I don't know what you want me to do. But that's a whole nother random side tangent that didn't need to happen, but we did it. But so are you going to the Pasquotank or whatever?
No, I won't be on that one.
Oh, that'd be a cool one.
That's like the closest one to home for you.
I know. I know.
Well,
Well,
I think that's going to be a cool one.
It's still tough. Like, I'm trying to finish out the last like 2 college events. I'm fishing Bugs Island and then Chick.
Oh, nice.
So I took off time for those, and then I still got to go back to school and walk during graduation. So it's like,
yeah.
Tony graduated a semester early to do.
When's Bugs?
End of April.
End of April.
Middle end of April. It's soon.
Is that an FLW or a bass?
That's a bass.
Bass.
Who are you fishing Chick with?
Cool.
So you're gonna do that. That's good. Herring.
This is Tater Hog Custom Wars.
Totally off topic. You're gonna absolutely crush them tomorrow, and like for the next like 3 months on Murray, you're just gonna have the time of your life, and I'm so jealous.
I know. I'm excited.
It's the hottest lake in the country. That's got to be exciting.
Dude, I've been itching to get out there. I went out there like literally one day. I haven't had any chance to get out there, so I'm gonna probably go out tomorrow and then this weekend.
Well, your timing's right. It's probably peak right now.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, they just had that MLF event there.
What are your water temperatures right now?
I don't even know. Like
what's it like down there right now? You have short sleeves?
Yeah, it's like 75.
Damn.
What are your nighttime temps?
I'd have to look. I literally just
guess. Throw me a ball.
50. Let's see. Yeah, 57 a.m. It's 50.
Oh yeah, I know. So your water's probably like low 50s right now. You're gonna smack.
It's definitely not low 50s.
Low to mid. I'd say like low to mid.
It's definitely higher than that. It's low 50s
at least.
here, dude.
Is it really?
What did you have today?
52.
I had 52 today. No, because my boys are back
I
out
had
on the
52
pond back
today,
home.
and that's dropping off of a
We
cold
got-
front. It was
we got-
warmer last week.
No, we got 39 here still. It's not great. We haven't touched 40 yet. I know the Bay is like 47, 48.
It was more than that a week ago.
Either way, Tony, you're going to crack the absolute shells off of them.
Yeah, I'm excited to actually get out there.
Well, I know you're excited to get out there, and I know we said we're only going to keep you for a little bit, but I just before you go, I just want to know this was the Classic week. Any last little thoughts on the Classic experience?
It was unbelievable to experience. I mean, I don't know. Like I'm honestly like speechless just to be able to cover that. Like just, I mean, Zub, I'll have to send you the promo. I mean, maybe I can just show you guys on the low or whatever. It's gonna get dropped. If it's not already out now, it's gonna get dropped tomorrow. But it's a little teaser on the whole tournament, the whole shebang, and it's unbelievable to see and experience the way that it went down. And like, you know, the first clip you'll see in that promo, Ethan's getting interviewed on media day, and this guy comes up to him with a whiteboard and he's like, who do you think is going to win this Classic? And, you know, write the name. And he goes, oh, can I put my name down? And he was like, oh, like you can. And it was just like a joke. And then he was like, yeah, you can if you want. And he was like, oh no, like, you know, the odds aren't there. Like and you can kind of see like he was kind of doubting himself. And so we kind of start off the promo with that. And then at the end, it's like he did it. And it's like watching that progression, experiencing it with him every single day and grinding it out was just like incredible. Like it had all of us speechless.
It's so stoked that you're able to experience that, dude. And we're so excited for actually, I mean, I know we're jumping the gun a little bit, you know, but Knoxville next year.
Probably.
I'll see you there.
We'll see you there.
I'll see you there as a competitor.
We're gonna have you back. We're gonna have you back on. Tony, you're gonna come back.
Yeah,
Don't
for
worry.
sure.
This isn't your last.
I got a lot to talk about for sure. I mean, seeing it hands on like this is incredible.
Well, I mean, I'll keep you forever. Zub told me I only had you for a half hour.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could stay on. I don't care.
I'll keep no, it's all right. We'll let you run and do our.
Pull you back in for the next big derby.
Yeah.
The next one that Easton wins.
You're like the luckiest cameraman in the world. So
yeah,
whatever you're capturing next, I'm sure will be big enough to force us to have you on again. So.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a ton for joining us, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right. Thanks again to Anthony for joining us. I don't know about you guys. I thought that was pretty cool. I got off a couple questions that I really wanted answered about my boy Easton, but anyway, yeah, in the intro, Lee Livesey's Pink Fluke got us off on like a half-hour long bass behavior tangent. So to reel it back in, is there anything else about the actual tournament that you guys wanted to touch on that we didn't yet? I know we probably got most of our Easton talk just then in the interview, but
I have two quick things I just want to throw out there. First of all, you're watching this and you're hating on this kid for living his dream. Look in the mirror. Get some help. Second of all, this is going to take 2 hours. But why was the Classic empty? I know we want to kill it.
Zoom texting me. Is there 12 people there?
I wasn't there in the building. I think there were some very selective photographs in both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I think people who wanted to say, oh, look at this, it's empty. Took pictures of the place at, 2
Had nothing.
hours before weigh-in. And I
Yeah.
think in the other way, Bass probably took pictures that angled it to show the parts that were more filled. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there. I've seen pictures of it from both ways, and it's like, and at the end of the day, I don't really care. Like, I don't know. It's Bassmaster Classic. It was still successful. I'm not worried about that.
It's a tough one. It's not like it's you're drawing in, bass fishing still a selective, sport. You're not drawing in like a World Cup numbers, but
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like it looked pretty busy. I mean, the expo always brings in a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot more people that are interested in the expo compared to just watching a 2-hour long weigh-in.
2 hours is generous. That's I think the biggest problem of it all. Like,
why do I want to sit through a 3-hour weigh-in when I could go walk around the expo?
We gotta speed these weigh-ins up, dude.
The final day could take a little bit. They could space out the final guys, but the first 2 days, dude. Let's make it a little choppy.
They're off the water at 4, and the first guy isn't coming across the stage until 7 o'clock.
Yeah,
I think that's just like a massive logistic issue, and I understand that you only have a handful of lakes where you have a decent sized arena that's also next to a decent sized convention center that's also next to a tournament applicable body of water. The one that makes the most sense is Knoxville, because I don't know how many classics you guys have gone to, but the Knoxville Convention Center is connected to the arena, which is right next to the river. Like, it's big.
And that's why Knoxville always is every time they go, the attendance record was broken, all the stadiums filled. You never see any pictures of an empty stadium when it's at Knoxville.
Yeah. No. Also, it's a more central location in the state, in America. Like, Texas is neither here nor it's like it's not even close to us.
There's
we gotta take a flight.
People that fish in Texas, and you have the infrastructure to get people in there. You know what
I
I
think
mean?
a lot of
fishermen, but you don't
has
have a
to
lot
do with those logistics. If I'm at the expo all day, right, and I finish watching Bass Live, everything's shutting down at the expo. Bass Live is over. I watched Bass Live and I looked at Bass Track. I already know who's going to win. What am I going to sit in an arena for 3 hours waiting for the weigh-in to start to watch? Like to be, I'm one of the biggest bass fishing fans in the world. I wouldn't sit there.
And here's the other thing too. Have you guys ever been to like a classic day 1, day 2 weigh-in?
Yes.
No.
It takes 5 ever. It is the longest, most drawn out thing. If they had 100 guys, you'd be there till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Dude, it was, like I mentioned in the Anthony interview, I went to the Classic with Greg. The weigh-in was miserable. I did not want to be there. It was miserable. So, listen, couple things. I get it's a logistical issue, and it is what it is. But in your flagship, your premier event, you're trying to draw casuals to the sport. I'm the furthest thing from a casual, and I didn't want to sit through that.
I get that they want each angler to talk. It's their chance. It's like their advertisement. It's their, but they gotta find some way to even if they don't do it for another hour or two after the tournament ends, they gotta just speed up.
You gotta find a way to speed that thing up.
It just takes so long.
I'm not trying to sit there and watch Ronnie Moore fire Under Armour t-shirts out of a cannon for 45 minutes.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
I'm not,
but they got to do something where they got to consolidate it. Because here's the other thing too. If I make the Classic, I'm fishing the Classic, I want my moment. I think everybody there should have the opportunity to go around, go on stage, and experience and take that in.
Yeah,
Because it is a crowning achievement, and I don't want to downplay that at all. but Bass also has to find the middle ground to make it an entertainable watching sport. You know what I mean?
But that's the point. That's the point. To make that moment, you have to keep people in the arena.
No, and you can't. Here's the thing.
If I was at
Bass
that
has to have
Classic,
charter buses going from that expo, which everybody goes to the expo all day. And then they
Mhm.
have to have charter buses to get there. Do you know how long it would take when I went to the Hartwell class in 2022 or whatever? It took us over an hour to wait for a charter bus to go 15 minutes down the road. I can't imagine how it is in Dallas, Fort Worth, wherever they have it. It's a logistical nightmare half the time.
It's also right at dinner time.
Yeah,
I mean,
people are going to watch at a bar. Why would they go there? You know,
maybe on day 3, because I want to see the winning moment and the lap and the trophy and the confetti and all that.
right?
But on days
That's what
1
blew my
and 2,
mind.
if I was in Fort Worth for this Classic, and we're probably going to the Classic next year in Knoxville, which it's going to be a little easier in Knoxville. But if I'm
not
at
going
the
to day 1 and
Classic,
2.
I'm not sitting in that stadium for the day 1 and day 2 weigh-ins.
No, I get
3.5
that.
hours to watch a guy bring 5 pounds across the table.
Unless you have someone there that you want to see, if you have a friend or something you want to support someone, that's one thing. But here's the thing. If that went through everybody's head, why was day 3 empty?
Because I think it's the same thing.
Are people burnt out?
Because you're there
3 days of that.
You're there all week. It's a Sunday. You got to wait until 7 o'clock. People went home. That's what happened. People
also, like, you got media day. You got, when does the expo start? Friday or Thursday? I think it starts Thursday.
Friday. It starts on Friday.
Friday? They should, I don't know. I feel like they need to shorten it a little bit.
I think it should be Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
And make everyone show up on Sunday for
People
the
go to work on Monday. If you're at the Classic for the week, most people are leaving.
Yeah, Saturday night or Sunday night, you got to fly home. You can't be watching home.
If you don't start weighing fish until 7 o'clock p.m. on Sunday night, nobody's there anymore.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday would definitely be better.
The Classic should be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because then it's also like, dude, the Classic ends on a Saturday night. You want to talk about the post-Classic party on a Saturday night, dude? Like, having the post-Classic party on a Sunday night is lame, bro.
Half the people are like, I got to get up at 6 a.m. for work. I don't know.
Obviously, people who are very close to
to the winner,
who are in the industry, or people who are close to the anglers, family members, friends, and stuff. Like, obviously, those people are taking off for a Monday. But your average person who goes to the Classic is not taking the Monday off.
Monday off from work. That's the number one thing too.
To go to the Classic, so nobody's going out and partying Sunday night like that. That all happens on Saturday.
Everybody's on their plane by 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
if they flew in,
Yeah,
because you are right, Brennan. It's like the distance from say we'll call it Gunnersville, we'll call Birmingham, Alabama, to Texas. What is that, like 8-10 hour drive?
Yeah, it's like a 2-hour flight.
That's no, but I'm saying for the people that are going to drive and buy stuff. That's like a. Still,
even
if you're going from like the largest population of the country that bass fishes, they're having an average drive of 8 to 10 hours.
Even if we flew there, dude, we would. Think about it. You fly out 9 o'clock after weigh-in's over. We're not getting home until 2-3 a.m.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of things about like the marketing event, like trying to make bass fishing a bigger sport than it is. Like, there's so many things that I feel like are so easy and so obvious that they just completely miss. Why are we doing it on a Sunday? The final weigh-in should be on a Saturday. That's such a no-brainer.
Yeah.
That's such an obvious no-brainer. I get, a regular Elite Series or whatever, you push it to Sunday. But it's a 3-day tournament. It should be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That is
Especially
crazy.
like, not everyone wants to like we were saying, like, we don't want to watch day 1 and 2 weigh in. Like, I mean, maybe
Takes so long.
like you could see Friday night, but Thursday, Friday, it's not going to be as busy anyways. Most people are going to take off maybe Friday.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but
Maybe
like
it's
Zub
there's
said.
so many external factors from media coverage to booking the arena to certain quotas they have to meet. I mean, they have very powerful people that are unfortunately making these decisions. I don't think they're making them to take a loss, but I think they are going to see this and learn. I think it's a big thing to take away from it. They are going to see this and they are going to learn. I hope.
I just
Because
think
they can't just run back to Knoxville every time they have a bad year either.
I was going to say they're just going to go to Knoxville and be like, "Oh, but it worked."
I know.
That's what they've been doing.
That's what they've been doing because
That's why they keep going in at Knoxville.
Oh yeah,
The fishing at Knoxville is not.
The fishing's
terrible,
horrible for this time of the year. I mean, it's.
Also, can we go back to switching up the time? When did we decide it has to be March all the time?
Didn't we just have like?
Well, we talked about it. I mean, gosh, the attention of the fan base goes to go shooting things that run. There's very few.
It doesn't need to be in the fall. They used to do classics in the middle of the summer.
You don't hate that.
Yeah,
they can do it in May.
But
June,
why haven't they
July,
March when
August.
this is like peak interest? I feel like right now is peak interest bassing. Everybody's getting geared up. You have the expo. People are buying things for the beginning of the year. You don't really have any.
I like the idea of having it in March. I like having it in March most of the time. But we've already talked about how limiting venue options are.
Have it in June on Oneida and have it out of Syracuse. But then the part of that
would be great.
But how much of a population of people do you have coming to Syracuse, New York from Alabama?
Yeah. Those Southerners are coming up.
How much of a population of people do you have going to Anderson, South Carolina?
Quite a few.
Yeah.
That arena was pretty filled up.
Syracuse is a much bigger city than Anderson, South Carolina.
Right, but I feel like the population of Anderson is more bass friendly than the population of Syracuse.
True, but like it's not just like Oneida, right? That you can't do in March. It's like most of the country.
I mean, Knoxville's pushing it, let alone anything further north than that. But like, have they even done a classic in like Florida?
You know what I've always wondered?
I'm trying.
What?
Which is like such an obvious one to me, and it would work for the time of year too. I guess it's probably just because the city doesn't care, maybe, and they won't pay bass. But like Lake Norman,
yeah, that'd be a good one. But I mean, like, do they have
in Charlotte?
Yeah,
in Charlotte, like, you have everything there. That's such an easy one.
Right? Yeah, no, that's very true.
They probably just don't pay.
That's the other thing too. You gotta want to have I hate to say it, not a poor southern city, but a southern city that really needs the income boost.
But does Dallas Fort Worth really need that?
That sucks. But like Charlotte wouldn't hate it.
I think Charlotte's a good place. I think, pick your random city in the surrounding area of the Harris Chain or Kissimmee.
They could use the boost, but I don't know if you got. I don't know. Put your comments down below. Where do you think the Bassmaster Classic should be?
I like having it in March most of the time, but I think it would make sense to switch it up every third or fourth year.
In the summer, or heck, even have like a pre-spawn Florida shootout and have like, I don't know, like Kissimmee can't be far from like an Orlando thing, right?
There was a Kissimmee Classic at
Kissimmee's
one point, there?
Real close to Orlando.
That's what I'm saying. Kissimmee's right on Orlando. I mean, you could even have like Jacksonville. I feel like the world would go crazy.
About how many conventions are going on in Florida, though, that bass is not going to get priority over
other
conventions.
You got a big market there.
Yeah, but no.
I think
I
there
mean,
wasn't. I'm pretty sure there was a classic on Kissimmee.
There was a I know. I'm almost certain there was a Florida Classic.
Danielle's company they had their dermatologist convention in Orlando. I think their booth, she said, for her company in the convention center costed like $30,000 or $50,000. Like I don't see many fishing companies pumping that out.
That's fair too. But then you have it
Could
like
always
November.
bring it back
Have
to
it-
Shreveport.
Oh, there you go.
Please
Alex
God.
will show up.
Or the Cutterick Sound, or let's all go to Vegas. Let's have a Lake Mead Vegas Classic game, set, and match.
2006 classic Kissimmee Chain of Lakes hosted in Orlando, Florida.
That's not too long ago. That's decent recent memory.
Luke Clausen.
20 years ago, almost.
Do it in Pittsburgh in August again.
Pittsburgh would be I mean,
No,
not August, but like Pittsburgh would be a good spot right there on the river. I mean, talk for logistics, you know.
they used to do it at Lay Lake all the time and bring it to Birmingham.
That's kind of a haul, though.
Well, that's what they did, dude. That's
Yeah.
what they did for Gunnersville, and
Yeah,
Gunnersville's
Gunnersville's not close either.
Gunnersville's further. That
Yeah,
was a classic I went to, dude.
isn't it like 2 hours each way to freaking?
It's like an hour and a
Birmingham?
half.
Yeah, that's a haul.
That's what I'm saying by like I'm one of the biggest bass fishing fans in the world. I went to a classic. It was miserable.
This is another wild thing I wish I asked Tony. I wonder if they weigh them before they transport them. That's a long time.
They don't weigh them, but they do check them.
Right. I know.
They check them so that if a fish dies between coming off the water and going to the arena, you don't get a dead fish penalty. So
right, but also there's like a losing, a weight thing too. You know what I mean? In that time, I guess everybody has that same chance, but I don't know.
that just is what it is. They don't, at least as of 2020, because I rode with Greg back to the arena every day.
Do they just leave them in the boat, like restart on? Right.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yep. They just tow it back with the fish in
Put
there.
some film in there. Call it a day.
Yeah.
Just
and I mean, I don't know what it is overall, but I was watching that state. I didn't see any dead fish. It looked like everybody did well.
it's impressive. I can't even.
And they do. They have a big ass tank backstage that they put them all in, and they're all swimming around back there.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, just really quick, I just got the Tony edit. I'll send that over.
Oh, sick.
Oh, I meant to ask him.
What we can drop.
Yeah, I meant to ask him. We'll ask him after this, but I mean this episode's not going to come out till like Thursday, so if he wants us to / if we're allowed to, if that teaser's already out, I can stitch it in to the end.
I'm just gonna give you his number.
Yeah,
Because you guys have a lot to talk about.
yeah.
We also had a lot to talk about.
We got a
Good
lot.
pod. What do you happen? I'm
So much
excited.
happened.
When by the time we get back, I will have flung this into a sailboat and it will be stuck in something never to return.
And it'll have caught you 0 fish by then.
I will have caught 0 fish on this bait. Isn't it big?
It's big.
Also, real quick before, actually, one last note about the classic. I went to
One last note.
Did you guys find there to be a extreme lack of them actually showing fishing on day 3 on Bass Live?
But we had Deion Sanders.
Well, dude, in the Deion Sanders, into Ike, into somebody else before that. I mean, we had like 4 commercial breaks where there wasn't a second of fishing showing. Not one second.
That needs to be changed.
It was infuriating.
It's just like the elites this year with like the giant lunchtime halftime show. It's just I'm tuning in. I just want to watch it.
And I do get that during those segments there wasn't like nobody was catching fish.
Yeah.
So like there wasn't anything going on, but like
I prefer.
Again, I guess it's a ploy to try to pull in casuals, which I don't think is going to work anyway, but like
No.
I would rather stare at Easton's back catching nothing than listen to Deion Sanders.
Or at least have him like there, like split it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Like,
I like
screen,
Deion Sanders.
screen.
A lot of bass
Oh
fishing
no,
fans.
that wasn't a dig. That was awesome. That was
A lot of
wonderful.
bass fishing fans are like, "Oh, get Deion off the screen. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's an idiot." I like Deion. I thought that was cool. But
he
like,
talked really well. He's a media professional. He likes fishing. He's good for the sport. No, but it's
No,
like just, also
and
the
I
main
thought
thing that's good for the sport is the sport.
I thought the Deion segment was great, and I think you do it. That's how you do it, right? But
Right.
then when we go to a Ike segment, we can watch fishing with Ike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be like a
To be
Deion
just
Sanders interview where you're only showing him talking. Like you can, Ike's a professional bass fisherman. You can roll the footage with Ike there, and let's talk about what's going on the lake.
Yeah, have Ike break it down for us. Let's see it through Ike's eyes. You
We
know what I
don't
mean? That's
need
why
to
you have
talk
guys
about.
like that on.
We don't need to talk about Ike's 2003 Classic the whole time and talk about him breaking into sport in the 90s. Everybody knows that already.
Yeah.
Let's have him talk about the tournament that's going on.
Couldn't agree more.
Even Deion, dude, just have the fishing in the background, in the corner. Just don't stop streaming that if that's what Bass Live is going to be.
I don't know.
Like
and again, I've said it before. I will say it again. Not going to rag on the guy any more than I need to. Peter Miller's got to go.
Yeah.
He's got to go.
He's no Zona, that's for sure.
He's got to go. He has
Build
to
the
go.
Zona statue.
He has to go. Also,
Before we
God, Zona being back.
It felt so good. Right.
That final moment with Easton, thank God Zona was on the call.
Yeah.
That Zona
saved it. That saved the Classic.
Zona hold on. Stand down. We're going back to the lake. Like, you need him there for that.
Yeah.
I genuinely hope they continue to bring him on for every Classic. Like, he's got to come to just the Classic.
No,
like,
I agree. I hope he enjoys his retirement, but I hope that there is a clause there that he is at every Classic.
He has to do every Classic. He has
I'm sure he will. He wants to.
He has to. And I was glad to hear him say at the end, after that Easton clip, he was like, "Thank you guys so much for inviting me because I'm happy I got to be a part of that." I hope that gave him a little juice to be like,
I need to do this.
I'm coming back next year. You know, he has to be there.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, bookend on Classic talk.
Bookend that at all. I got my Classic this week. I'll get some film for that. We'll have
Sub's got a Nation Derb coming up.
Oh, is this on Saturday? Is that on Saturday?
Not it's not the Nation Derb. It's a team trail.
Oh, the Susquehanna team trail.
That's this Saturday.
Sunday. So,
I want to tell a quick story about what happened to me today.
Okay.
So I get home from work a little later than I wanted to, but it's like super nice out. I wasn't planning on going fishing today, but like the back half of the day was so nice out that I was like, I have to go. So I hook up the boat, and instead of going to the lake by my house that I usually go to, I'm like, let me try to go somewhere else.
That's right. I
go to a lake like 20 minutes away. Forget that it's the middle of rush hour, so it takes me like 35 minutes to get there. I get there. This body of water is the lake that the Princeton crew team uses to row on.
Scumbags.
The worst people in the world. Anyway, I get there. There's 8,000 of them, but that's not even the problem. The problem is I get to the boat ramp, and the dock is sideways, blocking the entire boat ramp. It's like a floating
want you
dock.
there.
It's like attached by ropes, and it's just sideways across the whole ramp. So now I'm late on top of late already getting there. The dock is like that. Part of me like was gonna turn around and just go home. And then I was like, you know what? Screw this. So now I'm in the water fixing
Oh
the
no.
dock. I'm fixing the dock for them. I pushed the dock all the way over. I pulled the rope, tied it to the end, tied it to the concrete pillar on the shore.
That's how
I
you
didn't
did
fix
that.
it all the way, but I got it on like a 45-degree angle.
Fixing it for them.
I got it on a 45-degree angle so that I could like nestle my boat in there. I think the crew guys knocked the dock loose on purpose to keep people from launching there.
For sure.
And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. So now another half hour passes by. I fix the dock. I get the boat in. You know, I got to angle it all the way this way to get it off. But I get it in. I get it off. I go to the end of the dock. I put my poles down. I jump out. Pull my truck up. Forget that the entire bottom of this lake is just like soft mud.
Oh no.
So just putting your poles down at the end of the dock doesn't work.
Oh boy. Did you go for a swim?
No. So it was at an interesting distance. It was
Oh no.
It was probably 5 feet off the end of the dock.
A long jump.
So I sprint down the entirety of the dock and Superman dive onto my boat.
No. Oh god.
And I make it. But I slammed my shin against the side of my boat.
Oh, right into the man.
Like, dude, it hurts so much. I actually right after it happened and I like got into the boat and stood up, like I had like a 10-minute moment of panic where I was like, dude, did I just break my leg?
Imagine.
Like, dude, I really thought I might like not obviously didn't like snap my leg, but I thought I might have had like a hairline fracture or something. I'm pretty sure I don't. But
that's good.
Yeah, it was bad. So then I finally get out and then I go to that rock pile that me and Nicholas found last fall. And I'm just like, it's like bumper to bumper traffic on the lake too. With all these rowers. It's an absolute disaster. I got to get out of their way. They're coming this way. They're coming that way. I'm ducking and weaving. Yelling. It takes me forever to get down to the spot, which, by the way, was way further than I remember it being.
Oh, no.
For the viewers, this is a trolling motor only lake. So
buzzing at 2 miles an hour.
It's a it's a nightmare. It takes me like 45 minutes to get there.
Jesus. It's dark.
So then I get there, throw a couple casts on it. They're not there. I fish for about 20 minutes and then it's dark. So
sounds like a fun day.
So yeah, I went through all of that and I fished for 20 minutes.
To catch nothing.
Yeah.
At least you persevered.
Yeah.
You could say
adversity.
At the end of the day that you did it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm proud of you.
So I guess I fished today. I don't really not really.
It's more fishing than I've done, so
I casted a couple times.
I'm gonna cast for the first time on Friday, and I guarantee I'm going to backlash the absolute piss out of this $700 reel.
I did fish actually. I think it was after we recorded our last podcast. I did fish a few days last week, and I had one really nice day after work. So we're back into it. I crushed them the one day at my local lake. I only fished for like 2 hours.
But did you film it?
No. What?
Of course not.
I don't got time for that, dude.
This guy.
Can't get with the local Jews.
Yeah, no. I caught a couple of 3-pounders on a chatterbait. I caught a 4.5 on a jerkbait. It was a nice little sesh.
There you go. I'm gonna have to crush them on the pond tomorrow.
Oh, I had a first time this ever happened to me. I was 9 minutes late to weigh in on Saturday.
Oh, that's actually important. Yes, I do need to hear that. Did you have them?
No.
Okay. Were you late because you gave up, or were you late because you gave up?
Just kidding.
I wasn't late on purpose.
Okay.
But you were not in a rush.
But if I had a bag, I wouldn't have been late.
Yes. No, I make sense. Been there. Done that one.
It got really rough out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I also wasn't driving. I was fishing with a buddy. And
So you started driving.
He definitely gave up.
I can see that.
He was sitting for the last hour of the tournament, which was the first hour of the tournament where we were actually around fish.
Oh my god.
And he had, I mean, it didn't matter. Some guys ran all the way up north and caught smallmouth and had like 15 pounds of smallmouth.
Oh,
really?
And just it blew it out. Nobody really weighed fish except for them.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, it is.
I feel
just
like
doesn't really.
I feel like you get to the Walters before the smallmouth.
It just usually
takes largies.
Yeah, it just usually isn't enough to play.
Yeah.
But
I guess early spring.
They had the good combination of one, they probably caught the biggest bag of all smallmouth that I've seen weighed in there, and two, literally nobody else had fish. I think second place was like 8 pounds.
I don't feel bad.
Yeah, nobody had fish. But Brendan wanted to run all the way south of the Commodore Barry. We ran.
Oh, jeez.
And and caught nothing down. Like, dude, nothing down there.
Oh, didn't he crack them there the week before?
We did not get a bass bite until like an hour before weigh-in.
Oh, jeez.
And that's when we finally went all the way back up. But yeah, we did all the down south stuff. Did not get a sniff. Not like, oh, I missed one. Did not get a bite.
Yeah.
Did not get a bite all morning. All morning.
That's miserable.
And then we caught a few right at the end, but it was like whatever.
Starting the Derby season off hot.
Oh. So
hopefully Zubris
not how I
was
would
not the same.
I'll just say that. Not if I was driving the boat, it's not what would have happened.
Would you have started where I would have started?
Where would you have started?
I don't know. Where do you think? Oh wait, where'd you guys launch out of?
Bordentown.
Oh, probably not there then.
Oh, no.
Thinking south.
No, but we fished it.
Okay.
Nothing.
Oh, so you guys ran from Bordentown? Gee, good God. That's awful.
We ran from Bordentown to south of the Commodore Barry.
That's like, what, 40 miles?
Yep.
30? Yeah.
I didn't know there was still gas down there.
We burned a full tank of gas.
That's horrendous. That's not fun.
On a 4-stroke.
That's awful.
At least you were fishing.
Yeah.
I guess. I was mostly just sitting in a passenger seat going.
For like, what, 2 hours out of the day? Oh, God.
A Skeeter.
But anyway. So this is probably a nice long one.
It's definitely the longest one ever.
Although probably not. I mean, this full recording time is at 2:05 with like the in-betweens and the cuts and everything. It's probably only like 1:45.
Still a good one.
Which we've done before. But yeah, again, thanks a lot
with us this long.
Tony Baloney for hopping on. We appreciate it. All his socials and all that stuff will be under here, plus our stuff. Congrats to
Tony.
Easton,
Congrats
the
to Easton.
Bassmaster Classic champion. And we will be back next week, hopefully with some positive, real-life fishing stories. So,
Well, then.
we'll see you guys.
Bye.